Holy cow. That tastes more like maple syrup than bourbon. Welcome to a BS podcast. Bobby and Mark are here, and we honestly have no idea what we're talking about today. So I was getting ready to say right before we started this, I just got in an order of Black Rifle coffee, and I got one of their limited editions, and it's supposed to be a bourbon flavored. And it tastes straight up like maple syrup. There's nothing bourbon about it. It smells like maple syrup and bacon. It tastes all right, but it's...
Maybe that was a cup I was stirring with my finger.
I hope not.
Well, why don't we go ahead and fill a little bit of this time with what are you smoking and what are you smoking it out of?
I am smoking Saint Espresso out of a Chris Morgan Blackjack 20.
I do notice something
What's
a little
that?
different today. You don't have your mixed drink with you.
No.
Did you learn your lesson from last time?
I had one drink.
You were awful giddy. After we got off the air, you were wanting to wrestle.
No, that is not true. I don't know what the deal was last time. I was definitely fired up over something.
Yeah.
Oh my.
That was great.
It was entertaining. At least for us it was. I don't know about the 7 people that listened to it. But
They'll learn to like it. We're an acquired taste.
that's a fact. Well, it has been a miserable week here in northern Indiana. We've had, rain, snow, ice, some more snow, then a little more ice and some snow. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it really has. It's, our weather, it just seems like we're off a month.
It does.
We're getting January's weather right now. Other than them warm days, it just seems like our weather is off a month, and which whatever. February, you get through February, you got it licked. There's another snowstorm possibly, but there's no prolonged stuff like this. March is usually somewhat. March is that teasing you month where
March is the month I hate.
Yeah.
It seems like it drags out forever, and it's usually full of the 5th season that everybody forgets about. I guess technically it would be one of the 6 seasons. We just have this particular season happens twice a year, and that is mud season.
Yeah.
I absolutely I can't stand it because it's like, and here I'm pretty lucky. Unlike your house where you got pretty good clay up top, it's pretty sandy here, and
we don't live that far apart. We don't live
No.
far enough apart for our ground to be as different as it is.
yeah, but it's definitely different, and it's here. It's like I don't have too much trouble with water standing, but it's like the top 2 inches still turns to grease. And I don't like driving a tractor across it. I don't, you just don't want to be out in it. Because all you do is tear stuff up. Now, all the spots out around the firewood where I've been hauling sand and gravel mix up from out back, that has, that part's fairly good. But I only have that right around my wood racks. Out where I work and stuff is still just the regular old forest floor, so
Yeah.
I don't I really don't want to alter that, if you will,
Yeah. Well,
or tear it up, I should say.
we got to get through that season though before we can get on to everything else, and it's getting to the point for I think a lot of us where we're just ready for it to be over with. But now next week, heck, we just got a text on Friday that we weren't going to work Monday because it's getting cold. And I just have this weird feeling it's going to be all week. But
That's weird.
well, it is.
You
that is the
guys aren't
dumbest
working,
thing.
and then we worked Saturday,
Yeah.
and it's like I still haven't figured that one out. But
And you know what's weird?
they did finally come and tell us there was a few pieces of equipment they needed done for the first of the week, and that's why we were working Saturday.
Yeah, most of the traveling foremen, they're all from Minnesota. Like they're used to this. I don't
Yeah.
see what's so different here, but hey, I guess it's their business.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It just sucks when it jacks with your paycheck.
Oh yeah, it does. But I mean, there's a few things I can do, some calls I need to make, anyways. So
Yeah.
I got all day to do that tomorrow. I do have a little bit of news, I guess. I got an email on Friday that my captain's license is approved to print. So
What approved to print?
the Coast Guard's approved everything.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
it's all done. I have my master license now, and
That's scary.
yeah, I should be. Yeah, no, it's gonna. Now it's time to, I guess, make sure I got some. I guess at this point I'll say some leads on good, promising leads on some employment for that, but it's, in the wrenching industry, I could come right out and say, I'm getting ready to go work for this company, I kind of know the companies and what their policies are with social media, but I don't know how this industry is, so I'm trying to just kind of hold my tongue.
Yeah.
But as soon as I know, because that's all I really ever want to talk about.
And that's fine.
Is that stuff.
That's all we're doing is recording our conversations. And
Yeah.
it's
Be nice if we had one, though.
the good part. Well, and I got to think about this is we always talked about that. We spend so much time talking on the phone, but this is honestly has forced us to actually sit. We know we sit periodically and talk face to face. Where after we after we weren't working together, we didn't do that very often.
It's just Al.
Yeah, I seen.
No, you're right. It makes us at least see each other. I guess that's a good thing.
It is most of the time, but I'm guessing you still forgot to bring maple syrup.
Yeah, I did.
You're going to tell me it was my fault because I forgot to remind you.
I think that I'll take part of the blame on this one. This could be on.
So,
me.
are you pretty much done with syrup for this year?
No. It was just a bonus season. The week of the chili party is usually one of the best producing weeks we have.
Okay.
That first Friday in March. So, if your chili party, I guess it ain't mine anymore, but that is.
I think it's everybody's chili party.
Yeah, that's usually the best producing week we have. I always pull my taps early. We kind of hit a quota. I shouldn't even say quota, but we kind of hit a certain point of the pantry once it gets taken up by maple syrup. So we always we don't water bath it or pressure can it or anything, because water bath, you got to be real careful because processing it, you actually boil and you get sugar sand in there or niter.
Yeah, okay.
If you get it so hot, it creates that. And so my wife wanted to water bath some because we got probably a gallon's worth this year that we've opened up and there was mold in it.
Yeah.
And it's not even mold. I'm pretty sure, because what I looked at, I don't think dangerous mold can. I shouldn't even say it. I'm not even going to say anything because I don't want anybody to listen to me think I know what I'm talking about. There was mold in it. I'm pretty sure we could have just, like you do bread or something, but we didn't. Obviously,
I didn't think you did that to bread. I know you do
you
that
didn't
like.
grow up poor enough. we
I thought you did that to like preserves and stuff.
Yeah. Well, same difference. Either way.
Okay,
But
I didn't know.
Get thrown away and or dumped out. Gosh, I just lost my train of thought. So we this year she's like, I'm gonna try water bathing some. Like, oh, okay. Do you know how? Well, yeah, she cans everything. Like the only thing my wife has not canned is water, and I can't believe she hasn't done that yet.
I call BS on that. I guarantee you she carries a water bottle with her to work every day. She's canning water.
She hasn't canned that. Well, yeah. Okay, we're gonna play word games here. That's where this podcast is going. But yeah, so she
might as well. We got nothing else to do.
Yeah, she water bathed it, and it created niter in there, sugar sand, and it's no big deal at all. It just guarantees that's ours. We ain't gonna give that out.
Yeah.
People freak out when they see, what looks like a thing of snot in the bottom, but in all reality, that'll just get turned to sugar. And more than likely, she'll just turn that to sugar.
Yeah.
But no, what we got before was just a bonus. It's just kind of a little bonus season. Saturday or Sunday, it'll be back around again.
Yeah.
I would cautiously say I would imagine once it starts, it won't stop. Because if we can get a week or two, a 20-degree day, the sun out, it's still going to run.
Yeah.
In our woods, it will still run. Because our woods is a pretty maintained woods, so it's thick, but it's not super thick, and the sunlight gets in there pretty well. Now, yeah, you get 3-4 days.
I was gonna say, you told me that you called me that one day, and you were saying that it was running really good, and I was surprised because it was below freezing still.
Yeah. I think I was like the last day it ran for us. So, I don't know if I talked to you about it or not, that we did the secret, the social media flavoring, the secret one we never tried, vanilla.
The vanilla, yeah, I seen it on your YouTube.
That was that is so my daughter turned 16. She had a girls' party or whatnot, and she wanted breakfast food. She made a bunch of waffles and stuff, and her friends were just like, the next day, they stay the night. Next day, my parents want to know if they can get some of that. I'm like, just wait. I ain't gonna give it. We'll give you some when I have it.
Yeah.
I don't right now. What I have is not enough, and it is one of those things. I don't want to say it's like cutting firewood, but it just ain't worth selling. I have too much work in it. I can't get enough money. Everybody started making maple syrup, and it just ain't worth selling.
That's too bad. I know. I blame a lot of that on COVID because there was a lot of stuff before COVID. It's like that year where everybody was trapped at home for a given period of time. For the most part, everybody started doing stuff, and it got them interested, and now they're trying all kinds of stuff that they never would try before.
Yeah. Well, but you remember 2008. After 2008, seemed like nobody went on staycation became a thing.
Yeah.
And now that's out the window again. Everybody's back going out of the country. And I think COVID definitely got a lot of homesteaders out there, and people I think it did show a lot of people like how vulnerable they are, but you got 3 chickens in the city. That's like, everybody's how the food supply goes. Like that food supply shuts down, and it truly does shut down. You don't need to be worrying about hunting. Them deer are going to all be dead in a few weeks because people will go out and they'll kill them. They'll kill every one of them not knowing how to preserve them.
Yep.
And, yeah, we ain't killing them because we've talked about what we do, and it's the smartest thing to do. The one secret I'll give our audience is we're going to catch them. We're going to catch them things, tie them up, and make them reproduce.
Be better than cattle.
Get some rabbits. Squirrel, anything.
I've been debating on getting some quail going this year.
Yeah?
I don't know.
Why don't you do pheasant? Or you just want the eggs, don't you?
I wouldn't mind raising pheasant either.
Yeah.
I looked into it a few years ago, thought about getting into it, and it's just every time I start thinking I want to do it, my problem is then it ties me. And it's not like we go away a lot, but it's like, we usually take off on one good trip a year, me and the family, and I don't know, it kind of ties you up because unless you can find somebody to take care of this stuff, you just, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I want to mess with it.
That's why we don't got cattle running around. Because it's one thing to ask people to watch your dogs. It's another thing like, hey, can you come watch these birds? And
yeah,
you need to kind of inspect them, and they need.
Well, and that was we got. I got ready to do cattle, and I wasn't going to put them here. I was going to put them over on my. Back then, I was still mowing Carmen's mom's place all the time, and I told her that was like, I don't have the time to mow your place, my place, and at the time I still had some commercial mowing accounts, and I was like, I just don't have time to do all this anymore, and I was gonna talk to my brother, and my brother was interested in it, and we were gonna buy a few bucket calves. And I was going to fence in the old horse pasture at my in-laws, which would have cut my mowing in half. And we were going to do that, and that was the year when hay got real. I don't remember if it was a drought or flood or what, but it was like hay was next to impossible to get, and I was like, well, screw that.
Yeah.
And so I never did do it. And a few years later, of course, Hadley said something to me. She wanted to ask about showing beef calves at the fair. And it was like, you're a freshman in high school. I was like, if you'd have asked me in third grade, we probably would have done it. But at this point, no.
Yeah.
Because it was the same deal. It's like once you're done, I don't want to be tied to them currently. And that may change. I don't know. But
not for me.
I'd like to be able to start. I mean, Hadley's 19 years old now. You know, me and Carmen, I know we'd like to try and go some places and do some different stuff that we've put off for way too long. And I don't know. I just don't want to be saddled with it.
Yeah. I've talked to I think you're probably the only one I hadn't talked to. I'd talked to Owen and Gavin and Kurt about it, about saying, hey, I'll fence in acre or two. I'll buy the darn things, you know. We can put them on corn stalks part of the year, but you know, I just when I leave town, I need you to come over. And Gavin's exact words were, you know, he's too busy for it. He'll just buy beef off somebody else. I'm too far for Kurt. Owen was all for it, but you know, that's a lot to put on one person, and I don't know. You don't know many animal farmers. I don't know of any animal farmers that ever really took a vacation.
Yeah, and that's I don't either.
They all had campers though. They just never took vacation.
Yep. No, I'm with you.
It's usually the 4-H. The 4-H fair, they'd pull their $80,000 camper up there with their $100,000 truck, and
yeah, no, you're exactly right.
Yeah, and that was I just found out that my second cousin, my cousin's kid, is getting out of showing pigs. I ain't getting into sheep because Indiana is like a super, 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 super competitive, like highly competitive pig state. Like it has really, really good. So, and they did good. I mean, I think she placed really well at a lot of shows, but it you know, it's anything at what expense. Like Dan that we worked with, his kid got reserve champion when they went out to one of his beef pig, or you know what I'm saying, one of his feeder pigs, and it's like, pick one.
Yep.
But that's Dan. Dan will go to show you that, but I know Riley, she would go Pennsylvania, everywhere. They would go everywhere showing pigs. And
I've just never understood that.
dude, that
It
is
just seems crazy to me.
that is all that is. It's the farmer's travel ball.
Yeah.
I just I seen. It's funny I say anymore. I seen a podcast that they were talking about how travel balls ruining families. This guy is exactly right, because parents at usually travel ball, both parents aren't into it equally.
Mm-hmm.
Like either the father's into it or the mother's really into it. If they both are, well, that's great. But the kids see, like, well, our vacation's travel ball.
Yeah.
Well, why aren't we going here? Why are these people going there? Well, we travel ball and we go somewhere every weekend. Well, yeah, you're going to Madison or something like that.
Yeah, and
and you ain't getting scholarships for it. So anybody wants to throw some hate mail at that, you ain't getting scholarships for it, because the athletes are athletes. They're born that way.
yeah. And that's it. The bad part is it seems like anymore, if you're going to be, unless you're like in a pretty small school like where Hadley went, you didn't hear a lot about it, but I mean our entire school corporation, I think when Hadley was in school, was 2,000 kids.
Yeah, and that's great.
That's from K through 12.
Yeah. I wish, dude. All we'd have to do is live one road over and like down a mile, south a mile and one road over. Mm-hmm. We'd have been in that. That was when we went out and looked at that house. I was hoping, like, let this be, Whitco. And
yeah, and that was the one thing that we really wanted was Hadley to be at a small school while she was going.
Yeah, I hate the consolidated. I understand that in our area they do it so the farmers don't have to pay as much on tax. Whatever. I ain't going to get into that. They're making money off the ground. Anybody else makes money off something, they're going to pay tax on it, but the farmers get a pass. And I'm telling you this one firsthand. The farmers get a pass. But in like a county like Whitley or Kosciuszko, like Whitley's the perfect one. The farmers outnumber everything. They ain't building because we have career farmers. We have great farmers like the Cormanies, who their only goal is to buy ground and build a bigger farm for their kids. Their kids' only goal is to buy ground and build a bigger farm for their kids.
Yep.
And that's how I tell everybody. I get cocky about it. Like, live somewhere, you ain't going to build housing additions. Oh, you ain't going to like it when they do it by you. Nope. I know who owns the ground around me. That ain't selling. That ain't selling. And when it does sell, it's like 3 multimillionaire farmers who buy this stuff with cash.
Yeah.
Fight over it. Like, $30,000 an acre. They don't care. It completes their farm. Keep bidding.
And that's the one thing I worry about where we're at. But so far, all the growth around Warsaw has gone like north and south, more north than anything. And it's closer to 15 too. So
yeah. Well, the lakes help you around here though.
Yeah.
So many people. They look at this area for the lakes, and I think the county gets its money off the lake taxes.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have to try to, because the last edition they put in.
Well, Homer's Place, I always laughed about that because we got to talking about property taxes, and they got that cottage on Silver Lake, and the property taxes on. He's got what, 100 foot of waterfront, and the taxes on that, and it's maybe an 800 square foot cottage, and the taxes there are more than what the taxes are where he lives in Whitley County, and that's a big brick house, a big, I don't know, 2,700 square foot on 16 acres of ground.
Oh yeah, and
got three outbuildings on it, 3 barns on that property.
Way back in the day, I worked with somebody at work or lived in South Whitley, and he said that it was before Fishers was the people who knocked him out. South Whitley had the most millionaires per capita, and you drive around South Whitley, like, you got to drive around a little bit, but you'll see it in their houses, and then the ones you think aren't millionaires are definitely.
Oh, yeah.
What county? What county is that in?
What?
The Lake Place.
Kosciuszko.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, Kosciuszko has out-of-county taxes unless you're contiguous, which, like I am, home. Obviously, me and Homer is the exact same scenario. Yeah. But our place isn't. Now, I think we're 75 foot, and our lot is big enough for the house and the setbacks. That is all our lot's big enough for. You're not putting anything else on it.
Yeah, that's how it is around Silver Lake.
Yeah,
too.
It's a cottage lot. But that's what worries me so much is, as long as we own our house, our taxes can't jump up. If Katie and I died right now, like the girls would be, anything we left them is going to go towards inheritance tax, and then the realization on taxes, because at that point, taxes are going to reassess. Don't matter what my house assesses for right now. Taxes are capped at a certain point, and as long as Katie and I are alive, it holds them taxes down. Then once we die, then they jump up because now it's a whole new
and that's
realization.
BS. That shouldn't.
It is, but it's BS until you put it in a trust.
Yeah,
like there's so many ways around it, and it is. It's why do you have to do that? Why can't I leave this to my kids, or why can't I just say my kids say we're gonna sell the house? You're gonna get capital gains out of us. We're gonna sell this. But our parents. My dad's a pack rat, and her mom's a pack rat. But they're pack rats, and it's going to take us a year to get this cleaned out.
Yeah,
and ready. I think you should be able to give people a year. Question:
okay,
do you fish?
Do I fish
without a gun? Like I don't. I'm a lake person, dude. I hate fishing.
Okay, so it depends. I do not like lake fishing. I grew up river fishing. And I enjoy river fishing, but like to go sit on a boat and fish, like when we would go down and stay the weekend at the lake, the girls would want to go out on the pontoon and stuff, and it's like, it drove me nuts. I'd rather sit on the porch and just watch the lake.
So
I had no desire to be out there on the water.
I've been listening to this podcast, and I just happened to find it through Charter Captain stuff. Brown Water Banter. I know they'll never hear this podcast, but if you're into fishing at all, or you want to listen to a bunch of guys who love what they do, listen to them. They're crazy. Now, there's my thing is, I think there might be a few too many people on that podcast. There's 4 Bobs on this podcast, all talking all over each other, and it's hilarious. But they're just trying to.
I try not to talk over you.
Yeah, these guys they're just so passionate. The passion comes through, but they do fishing charters. I hate fishing. I want to go take a charter with them, and it's like.
When we were on South Padre, the guy that we chartered with, me and Carmen were just talking about, he doesn't do charters anymore unless it's a fishing trip.
Okay, on South Padre, there's a good chance. Well, I mean, there's hundreds of those guys out there. Was he around our age?
Probably pretty close.
Did he? I mean, these guys.
His name's Henry.
I don't know these guys' name. But, that's why I was asking you. I don't think like Erie or anything like that, but I honestly, I'd probably go on a fishing charter now. Just because it just sounds like fun to get on a boat with one of these guys. And
see, I don't have any desire. Like, if you want to drop me off in the, back country of Canada with a fly rod and a canoe, that's a different story.
Why don't we go shoot some, go out in Wyoming and shoot prairie dogs?
Okay.
That would be, because those are the ones where you take like 3 or 4 different rifles, aren't they?
Depends on what state you're in. I don't know if they're still that heavy in Wyoming or not. But yeah, I know some guys when they used to go out, they'd take 5-6 rifles apiece with them.
Yeah.
For that very reason, that you get on a town and you'd start shooting prairie dogs, and your gun would get so dad burn hot that you'd have to change out rifles so you could let the barrel cool down.
Yeah. Well, that's.
But when you're shooting something like 220 Swift, that don't take very long either. I mean, well, even my like my 204 Ruger. I mean, that's what I think I've got some hand loads that are 4,200 feet per second.
Yeah.
I mean, it's screaming.
Is that going to pink mist them?
I don't know. I've never shot a prairie dog with it.
Let's go shoot some. Why don't you bring that gun up here and we'll shoot a squirrel?
Yeah, we could do that sometime.
I think at this point we need to let the viewers know if that pink missed some.
I got a pretty good idea. No, I'm not saying that on air. That's too incriminating.
Yeah.
We had a guy that used to come into the shop. I remember him blasting a chipmunk with a 22-250.
Ooh.
And it was on top of a tractor tire, and they was worried about him because he was pretty close. And it's 22-250 that he had sighted in for a lot farther than what that chipmunk was, and it turned the chipmunk into a red mist. But you could see where the bullet grazed the sidewall of the tire.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's. No, listening to that podcast with those guys, it just, and they were all talking about like the experience. It's the experience, They said the best tips they ever got was this one time they went out and it got rained out more or less, and the guy comes and gives them a couple $1,000s as a tip. Just had a great experience though with them.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like when me and Brandon take off on them, even on the weekends, if we're not going to stay out of town or go out of town, we just ride around the state. And Ace is with us, man. Some of these backwater places that you don't know exist in Indiana are some of the funnest things you can do. Mm-hmm. I mean, even when go down and ride in Kentucky, because from Ace and Brandon's we can be in Kentucky in hour and 20 minutes, and we ride a lot down there along the river, and there's all kinds of interesting stuff to see.
Yeah.
So I know I enjoy that.
You guys went Madison this year, didn't you?
We've been down there last couple of years.
Yeah.
And we go because there's one place we like to eat.
Sounds, you're big tough bike riders who just go to ice cream joints.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That place wasn't. I'm lying. We did too. We went to the ice cream joint after supper.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's some really nice restaurants in Madison. I like going down there. I like seeing the old buildings and stuff down along the river too. So.
Yeah. If you it's a little bit of would be a little bit of a haul for you, but we went and looked at a service truck a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. We stayed at the Mohican Lodge, and it's a state park in Ohio. And I'm telling you, you'd think you're in eastern Kentucky, and for only the hills and the gullies.
Yep.
It was really nice. But that's, if you ever have a chance anywhere in Indiana, and I can say at least Mohican in Ohio, go to the state park that has a lodge, and go get food there. It's some of the best, because they're not there to make money. Obviously, Elon Musk showing all of us that these government agencies aren't trying to make money, but they are there to put on a good spread. And that's Clifty Falls. Clifty Falls has got a.
Clifty Falls is a great place.
Yeah,
I haven't been down there in years, but that was always a park that I liked going to. When I was a kid, we camped there quite a bit. And
you just, pretty much you go walk the trails until you see that first trail where somebody hopped the split rail fence. Follow that.
Well, I remember the first time I camped at Clifty Falls, I was still in Scouts.
Oh, man. Is that Scoutmaster Rick story going to come up?
So, let's not get into that.
Real quick, and I'll bring us right back. You see the Boy Scouts and everything that's going on there?
No, I haven't paid any attention to that stuff in years.
My brother-in-law is an Eagle Scout, and he's like, however they do it, but like he's this straight,
yeah,
straight, like, and it's great. Gosh, you want to piss him off. You bring up something about Scouting America or whatever it is, or the Girl Scouts. They won't let their daughter be in the Girl Scouts. I'm like, why? Well, you always say they're abortion cookies. Yeah, but I wouldn't stop my little kid from being in it. Like it's no big deal. Kurt, Katie, because my wife's the typical white girl. She wishes happy birthday to our daughter on Facebook. Our daughter who doesn't have Facebook. She does all that. That's how Katie rolls. And she put a picture. Alyssa went to her semi-formal in a dress, and it's whatever. I don't think they've made a dress long enough to please a dad. But my brother-in-law calls me up and it's like, "Why'd you let her leave the house like that?" I said, "Kurt, I could have put her in a pair of bib overalls, and if I didn't raise her right, it ain't gonna make a difference."
Yep.
You gotta just roll the dice.
At some point, yeah, you just gotta kind of roll with it.
All right, back to the Boy Scouts.
Because trust me,
yeah, you're going. I gotta learn it all from you.
I've been there.
See, I got the heads up on it because I just listened to what you're talking about. It's like, well,
I remember Hadley got asked to a prom. Or asked to the junior senior prom as a sophomore, and I remember they were all getting together. Hadley, a couple of the girls that Hadley run around with and still runs around with, both of them had boyfriends or whatever at the time that were juniors or seniors, so they were already both going, and then one of them's boyfriend's friend asked Hadley to go, and so she went, and it was whatever. But we had to go down. They were all getting ready at the one gal's house, and so me and Carmen went down to do pictures. And I will never forget. I still can't believe this. I was the only parent there that knew how to tie a tie, so one of the kids couldn't figure out how to tie his necktie, so I was over there showing him how to tie a necktie. And while I was doing that, the guy that had asked my daughter to go to prom says, "I should probably go over there and introduce myself to your dad." And Hadley says, "I'd suggest you not do that."
Hey, you know what? That's...
Because at the time, I was still having a hard time with it, but it was like, I knew it was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you raised them right, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
And you can raise them right and stuff and still go sideways, but...
Yep.
No, that's... So Clifty Falls, Scoutmaster Rick.
Oh, so yeah, the first time I ever went to Clifty Falls was on a camping trip with the Boy Scouts. And that summer we'd had some pretty healthy rainfall. And there's a lot of stuff washed out down there.
Mm-hmm.
And we go down and we were working on our orienteering badge.
The heck is that?
Using your compass. And we were split into groups. I think 2 or 3 of us in a group. And then we would go. We were sent different ways, and we were supposed to be able to lay out our plot all of our stuff and do all that sort of stuff and work our way around and back. And well, we took off, me and the guys I was with, and we took off, and we knew that there was part of where we were going we should have utilized this particular portion of a trail, a marked trail. Well, it crosses a creek or something at one point. Well, that's one of the creeks that had, went from having 4 inches of water in it to having 40 feet of water in it. And so, there's all kinds of stuff jacked up. Before you knew it, we're standing on the Ohio River near a power plant.
Yep.
And I was like, boys, I think we missed a third. And so we made our way back. And I remember arguing because they told us that we didn't succeed at orienteering. I was like, how do you figure? They're like, well, everybody else was back hours ago. We're ready to call the park rangers to start hunting for you guys. It was like, but we found our way back. That means we were able to utilize our compass, figure out where we were at on the map, and make our way back to the campsite. Don't get me, I'm not disputing that we got lost.
Yeah.
But it was like, we're actually probably the ones that did it the best. It just took us getting lost to be able to show that.
Did you get the badge?
I don't remember. I don't care.
How far did you make it? Like, what was your ranking?
I never really got that far into it.
I
I honestly, I don't remember. I had never made it to, I never got anywhere close to an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
I had fun doing it, but it was the camping trips and stuff. I was doing it because that was an easy way for me to get to go do that sort of stuff.
Okay.
But like once I started driving and, I got a job at 14. I got a serious job at 15. And by the time I got my driver's license, heck, I was working almost 40 hours a week going to school in high school. And it was like, as soon as I figured out I could make money, I kind of give up on that other stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, Carmen and I were dating by then too. And so when I had time off, when I wasn't at school and I wasn't at work, I mean, me and Carmen were going someplace doing something.
Yeah.
So I pretty much, I knew what I wanted out of life. So I didn't waste my time doing silly stuff. Well, and I shouldn't say silly stuff because Scouts wasn't silly. You could learn some good stuff in there. And we had a pretty active troop, so.
Yeah. I think you go to Boy Scouts or you just grow up with 1,000 acres of field and woods and river behind you, and you go learn it the hard way.
Yeah, and it was nothing like wrong with that either. And that was, we had a woods and a creek there by Mom and Dad's house, and Mom and Dad lived in town, but like we could walk down from where they lived, follow the creek back, and went behind an apartment complex, and then it just opened up into a wood. For years there was nothing there. I don't know, 4 or 5 years after, it may have not even been that long, me and Carmen were married and built our house in Franklin. And by that time, back there where we grew up, riding bicycles and playing in the woods and all that stuff, I think there's a Walmart and a Lowe's in that now. But back then, it wasn't nothing but open ground.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like an old woods, because I know before the apartments were built, when Mom and Dad first built their house, that was all field. Because one of the neighbors, Dad always thought it was funny, because one neighbor guy, he'd go out and pick corn and bring it in and fix it. And it wasn't even sweet corn. It was Dad burned field corn.
Yeah. The rural community we grew up in, there was the kid who should have definitely known better. He done that too. Yeah. Well.
He always said if you put enough butter and salt on it, it tasted okay. I was like, yep, good for you, buddy.
Chris, he swears that there's a week in field corn's growth where it's pretty close. I tell him I just grow sweet corn.
Yeah,
it's always close. Yeah, we never, like the Boy Scouts, that stuff, we never did that. But yeah, my brother-in-law,
Now, the thing I have always found funny, though, is like I never did 4-H stuff. Because like I had cousins that did 4-H and stuff like that, that were very big into 4-H and FFA, that lived down in the southern part of the state. And I always thought that 4-H growing up was pretty much, and we went to the county fair almost every year, but I never realized like there were general projects and all that sort of stuff. To me, it was what I knew was like what some of our extended family did was livestock. And I was probably in middle school. I had to have been in middle school. The family moved in next door to mom and dad. Those kids did 4-H, and they were, they weren't doing livestock because we lived in town. They were all doing like general projects, and I was surprised that because we went with them to the girl, she did something with clothes or something because there was like a fashion show or something, and I remember going to that. But it's funny because that was the closest I ever got to being involved in 4-H, was going with them when they had their judging for their 4-H projects. Now I move up here, and God, I got to think about that. I've been, this year, come August, I've been doing a 4-H leader for 20 years.
Wow. Man, you're old.
God.
Well, that's 4-H. I think is one of them things that's kind of really underrated. I don't think it gets the attention it should.
And I agree. And that's several of the folks that I go to church with. They homeschool, and that's one of the things I took them, because besides doing the blacksmith project, then I also help out with shooting sports. And we had a fun shoot with the men's group at church, and a couple of guys had their boys with them, and I'm not sure how old them boys are. I'll say around 10. And I was telling them, I was like, hey, if your boys really like shooting, I says, and I says, we have a lot of other homeschooled kids, so there'll be kids with similar experiences coming. It's like, you ought to come have them, sign them up for this stuff. And so I took them a bunch of information. And that is, we have a lot of homeschooled kids that go through 4-H, because that's kind of their interaction with, other people outside of the family. And I think it's good for them. But you also know it's still in a fairly... I'll be the first one to admit, I don't agree with all the stuff. You've heard me complain about it. I don't like the propaganda crap that you have to do just to be a volunteer nowadays. It's like you're already doing a background check on me. I shouldn't have to, spend as much time as they force you into as doing cultural appropriation and good touch, bad touch videos, but it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, there's volunteer issues. I think that the 4-H stuff in the schools and all that, it should definitely be, push it a little bit more. But then, like,
I know Warsaw and Whitco, they both do a pretty good job of, I think, having information anyways available for students to get involved in 4-H.
Yeah, but
or at least they used to.
The fairs are all in the summer when school's out, obviously so, but it kind of hurts you a little bit, because that could be you could take a class to it.
Yeah.
And show them what's going on.
Well, and I know, like, the YMCA, some of their summertime youth programs, I've gone out and done stuff in the blacksmith shop, and of course Jerry will have the rope maker set up over in the tent, and we'll have the YMCA youth camp kids come out, and we'll do demonstrations in the blacksmith shop and on the rope machine.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff goes over pretty well, and you get a lot of folks asking a lot of questions, and especially like with of course I'm in the blacksmith shop, so I don't get to hear what the kids are asking Jerry when he's making rope.
I could only imagine what Jerry's telling you.
But you get a lot of kids that don't realize that, and we've got the kids, the 4-H kids' projects on display in there, and a lot of folks just don't realize that's who's doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And and I laugh because in all honesty, a lot of times the ones that are really taken to it and doing a good job anymore aren't the boys. We see a lot of it coming through with the girls. I mean, they really are taking. I got these two young gals that they started in blacksmithing last year, was their first year, and they showed up. They joined like, I don't know, maybe a month or two before the fair, so they only got a couple meetings in before fair hit. And them two, I mean, they just have really shocked me. And of course, we take some time off in November and December because our meetings are usually the end of the month. So Thanksgiving and Christmas being when they are, it interferes with when we would, or our meetings would interfere with when people are doing holiday stuff. So we just don't do anything those months. And January, we had our first meeting since October. And them two gals showed up, and it's like they never even took any time off. And the one little gal, like last year, she wasn't on our shortest anvil stand with our smallest anvil. It was still too tall for her last year. I had a block of wood sitting on the ground and had the anvil sitting on that, so it was right high for her to work at. And but even then, man, she was going to town with that hammer, and she's got a fairly good hammer strike, and she really got to working some metal, and she latched a hold of a hot piece this last month because it wasn't glowing orange anymore. But I've had to, I tell them kids all the time, it's like, if it's been orange, I says, it turns black, I says, it's still 500 degrees.
Yeah.
And so I says, it's still going to burn you. And sure enough, she dropped a piece out of her tongs, and it had cooled down, so it wasn't glowing anymore. But she didn't look at it very long.
Oh, jeez.
But she's a tough little kid. She just stuck it in a quench bucket and cooled her fingers down, and she went right back to work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... I definitely think that there should be a lot more attention given to, like the 4-H stuff.
They do. It should.
If nothing else, it's just something for the kids to do.
Well, and it gives them a chance to try, especially nowadays where you're not getting, of course, when I was in school, they called it industrial tech. It was just all the different shop classes. Mm-hmm. And so many places don't offer that, or if they do, you don't get an option to do it until you're, a junior or senior in high school.
Yeah.
Whereas I started, we started doing shop classes in 6th grade, and I had a shop class from 6th grade till I graduated. And, well, I guess by the time I was a senior in high school, I was a shop helper because I'd taken pretty much all the shop classes I could take.
Yeah. I've been really pushing the girls do some FFA stuff.
Hadley did FFA for a while, and she was in some sort of she was actually the last group to do it. They had some like a horticulture club or something when she was in when she was in grade school, like 5th, 6th grade, they were doing it, and she did it, and they wound up quit doing it. But I know her and one of the kids I had in 4-H that was in Hadley's class, they got something at graduation or around graduation time because they were the last group of kids to go through that program. But I know Hadley had a blast doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of different things in high school, and that's what a lot of parents push sports, but we just push diversity. It's like, yeah, sports are great. I'm 100%. Uncoachable kid is an unemployable adult. I agree with that.
And that was the thing. Like I wrestled in middle school and my freshman. I might have wrestled my sophomore year too. But that was my parents, I think, did a really good job of installing a work ethic into me But the next person in line that beat that into my head was our wrestling coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Beech Grove was a big wrestling school. That was the one sport our school was good at, and I wasn't very good at it. But I still had. You were still part of the team, and they hollered at you just like they did the varsity guys, and I did all the conditioning and did all that stuff because it was the only sport I played. I didn't play any other sport in school. And I remember when I started working after I got my license. So I wrestled my sophomore year, and then my junior and my senior year I didn't wrestle anymore. And I remember the fighter, he was kind of mad at me because I wasn't. I was like, dude, I'd rather go make money than play sports. I'm not very good at it. I do it because it was forced me to work out and exercise and do all that stuff. But like that discipline of, maintaining weight and working out on a regular basis and all that sort of stuff, that come from wrestling. And it was definitely a good life experience and a good learning environment. But I'm with you. It's the percentage of kids that are going to go and be professional athletes is very, very slim.
Yeah. And it's it's something on your first job interview that you can, tell us about yourself. I'm a wrestler. I play basketball, I play volleyball. All right. Me as a person who interviews high schoolers knows, all right, this person has had to show up and perform said tasks and be able to take criticism. So I'm good with that. But I also think 4-H, FFA, Glee Club, I don't care what it is. Anything that's part of a team.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is great for you to have, and you're just networking anymore. You and I were raised different on, you're going to make it on your own merit and only your merit.
Yeah.
And now it's like there ain't nothing wrong with having a leg up. And if you happen to be friends with the guy who controls hiring for the Google they're putting in Fort Wayne, that ain't a bad friend to have. Or just like FFA. And I tell my kids, anything to do with ag. Anything to do with ag. You're never going to get rich unless you're on the sales side of it. But anything to do with ag, you're going to have a job for life.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like diving. They were looking for somebody in the dive shop. And the girls, I think Alex will go far with it. I could see Alex making a career with diving, but they were looking for somebody, and I'd said something to the guy who runs it about Alyssa, and he's like, "Oh yeah, a young girl," and not anything weird, but it's just like, I think a young guy. It's you go
just
in there
showing that young people are into it.
Yes, that was, and it's something. Because he knows, you get her in there and like, hey, we want you to go on this trip with us. They can keep him interested, but his biggest thing was like, does she have her license? No. Well, we know you guys like to come in here a lot, but we really need somebody that has a license, driver's license.
Right.
But there's so many. Working for a municipality opened up my eyes to all the different industry in the world. Just like, remember when we put that brine machine in?
Yep.
There is a full industry just around brine.
Yeah.
And there's guys out there who sell an additive called Boost that you put on your salt. This is all those guys do is go around and sell stuff to municipalities. And they make a great living doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the superintendent of that department sells salt now or whatever.
Yep.
Gosh, there's so much industry out there that you can get involved in like that. And I don't know. Talking about it, I really do. I feel cheated from school when I went to school, and maybe it was just me, but it was like, get them through.
It was run you through and send you to. and when I went through, they weren't pushing necessarily a 4-year degree. They were pushing you to go and get, at minimum, you had to go to college and you had to get an associate's degree. Yeah. That's what was getting crammed down all of our throats. And it's horse crap. They should be giving you experiences and like a career day. I don't need the, nothing against it. I'm glad that the military recruiters come in and talk to you about joining the military, but have other people, like you're talking about, these other industries to where you'd have never even known some of this stuff existed.
Yeah. Well, if unions, and I still think unions have a terrible, it's because they got political. Yeah. That's my belief. Hey, the union gives me an opportunity to make crazy money, have crazy benefits, have an awesome pension. It ruins you for life, though. On the one aspect, no other job will ever be adequate unless you're doing it because you love it. It's like,
well, and it's like even me, like if I was to leave and just go back to a fab shop, I'm literally going to make half as much as I make,
and pay more for insurance, and actually watch that money go out. Not have the pension, and we could go into Fort Wayne. Around the harvester plant, throw a rock and hit somebody can tell you something about a pension. Mm-hmm. About losing it. But have unions, have these people with apprenticeships, have doctors, have nurses, have teachers, have college educated marine biologists. We had our career day was really good at Heritage. It was really good. We had the railroad. These are the ones: railroad, Department of Natural Resources. Those were the 2 jobs I wanted. I wanted to be a game warden, or I wanted to run trains. Shut up! Don't even.
I can't imagine you'd be the most crooked game warden on the planet.
Yeah. Well, they heard the last name and they're like, yeah. so where's your dad at right now?
He's probably chasing a deer through the field in his pickup truck.
Hi. But,
what do you mean you're not allowed to shoot him from your car?
Yeah, no.
I pulled off the road.
Yeah. It was in park at 30 mile an hour. So I'll go ahead and tell you though why I am not a game warden. Because back then you didn't, the 4-year degree stuff wasn't that important, and I don't think it is anymore either. But the game warden sat us down and said, "Yep, I went to game warden school or whatever it is. Got all my stuff done. I got my post, and it was in my hometown. I was so happy. I was going to go out and help protect the natural resources and all that stuff. I get my first call, my first morning, and it's a suspected poacher. I'm so happy. Me and my buddies always hated poachers. We were going to go after him. We were going to get him. I get out there, and it's my best friend. He said I had to arrest my best friend.
Yeah.
He's like, could you guys do that? I got up and walked out. Like, it'd be my dad. I can't arrest him. He'll beat my ass. But so, with that, it was like, hey, that door's shut. No problem. I got the trains. And Ace, I hope you're listening, because we sat down in that one, and the DNR stuff was like in a small, not even a classroom, like a closet almost. There wasn't very many of us. The railroad, that was in like the auditorium, because everybody wanted to work for the railroad, because they're telling you back in 2002, you come work for us, they're going to be like $30 an hour.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, $30 an hour. Wow. We're all sitting in there, and guy says, I'm just going to start this off real easy. You will come work for Norfolk Southern? We'll hire you guys right now. We're here ready to hire you. We own you. You will be where we say, when we say, and at what time we say.
And that's no joke. Ask Ace.
Yeah. And I'm just like, there ain't nobody that owns me. So kind of walked out of that, and then I got cursed with being a mechanic.
Hey, folks. We're recording this episode, and when I went back to finish it up and get it ready to put out, there's a big spot in the middle of the podcast where it stayed recording, but there was no you couldn't hear anything we were saying. It just like cut out on us. So I'm trying to splice it back together the best I can. Once it started picking stuff up again, I think it was my laptop going to sleep, and I wasn't paying close enough attention, and I think that's what did it, but don't know for sure. But anyways, it might not make total sense the way it's chopped apart here, but bear with us. We're still figuring this stuff out, and back to the podcast.
Well, like I was telling you with Kurt, not trying to change the subject at all, but with like e-learning and that, I think the e-learning, and it's not for everybody, because like Hadley was in high school when COVID hit and all that went
Eighth
down.
grade or freshman, yeah.
Yeah. So, but like his kids were really young. It was parents still had to be involved. And that was like, I went to a parochial school till 8th grade. And when I went, there was no school money. There was no money given out. The parents who didn't have the money were paying pretty decent money at the time to send us to this school.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still tell you to this day, education-wise, I didn't learn that way. I think in a public school I'd have been better off for the education, because I think they would have realized like Mark doesn't learn like this.
And see, going to public school my entire life, to me it's a factory. All they were trying to do, I had a handful of teachers through my entire school, even the couple years of college I went through. I had a handful of teachers that I say cared.
Yeah, every teacher I had cared. And that was what I learned, was how to be an upstanding citizen, how to, talk to people, how to carry on a conversation, how to, like our priest we had, that dude taught you how to shake a hand.
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest things, but I say it a lot. I think me and my wife could go to an interview for a nursing job. And I could say I just became a nurse, and my wife could, like, she's been a nurse for however long.
Yeah.
And I'd get it over her because I can talk to people.
Right.
And that's, I credit my 8K through 8 education through that. Like high school it was just like you're saying, it was the factory. Get you in, get you out, make you pass the I-step.
Yep.
And
that's what it always seemed like, it was just passing the I-step test.
And I don't know. I'd love for somebody who could tell me, but that's why I am 100% okay if they want to tear apart the Department of Education, give it to the states. And the states better say, we're going to fund you as long as you have this curriculum, these 3 things in there, and then you have localized education.
That's what I think. I agree with that.
Columbia
100%.
City, we're going to teach you guys a lot of industrial arts. Why? Because one of the biggest steel mills in the country is 3 miles from here.
Yep.
Whitley County, there's going to be a lot of machining. Why? Kosciuszko County. Why is there going to be a lot of machining?
Because the orthopedic capital of the world.
Exactly. And Fort Wayne, we're going to teach you a lot of everything, because we have the colleges, we have all that. But like my nephew in school right now, he's Kurt. He's Kurt's mini-me. And that's what he's going to do. But why are we sitting here shoving him in a room? You need to learn English. You need to learn math. But do I need to tell you like anything? Because we were always told, well, you can't use a calculator because you're not going to have it with you. My calculator is always within hand's reach of me.
Yeah.
Always. I'll forget my wallet. I don't forget my phone.
Yep. No, and you're right, and that's you need to know basic math, stuff that you're going to use day in and day out. That was, well, I won't lie. I mean, the whole reason I don't have an associate's degree is I'm missing 3 math credits. If I had 3 math credits, I would have a degree. And
you ought to just go get those and then become a teacher.
For what?
Oh, you'd love teaching kids industrial arts.
I would. Where are you going to teach them industrial arts at?
They're doing one in Fort Wayne.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'd have fun doing that, but I'd have even more fun being off all summer.
Yeah. Well, you'd be a good person for that, but I'd
be a significant pay cut, I'm sure too.
Oh yeah. Well, Well, and that was a thing. It's already a lower paying profession, and then you put a private school on top of that, a Catholic private school. So those people like our teachers, they were there because they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it showed. Like my 8th grade teacher, Mr. Schiffley, Jason Schiffley, he is the principal at Bishop Dwenger in Fort Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
And if we lived close enough where it made sense, like my kid, I wouldn't care what it cost. If they'd have the chance to learn anything from him, I don't. He's always teaches about the Amish. He loved the Amish. I do not know why, and I couldn't tell you a single thing he taught us, because I think working around the Amish now, it's like, Mr. Schiffley, you were just in love with them because those Amish are just assholes. Sorry, you're gonna have to edit this.
I'm not editing that.
Well, but that's like they are. Yep, we thought they were. I'd love to have a whole episode on like Amish 101. Once they grab a hold of their goatee, folks, they're just wearing you down, and they're gonna tell you, "I don't understand." No, they're just trying to make the English nervous.
Yep.
That's all. Once they start stroking their beard, you got them where they want. Yeah, and money. They'll do anything for money. Anything. Let me take your picture. That's against my religion. Pull out a $50 bill. They'll smile. But yeah, he was a great teacher, and I've talked to him on the phone a couple times. I need to stop in there and just see him.
You're off tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a low blow.
I think he's off too, though.
Oh.
President's Day.
Tomorrow's President's Day?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be.
But no,
the only holiday I'm worried about this week is Thursday.
Gosh, should I even ask what holiday it is?
International Pipe Smoking Day.
That's not a holiday.
It is.
It's the International Pipe Smoking Day.
Yeah. February 20th every year.
Who's made this a holiday?
Pipe smokers around the world.
Okay. So what are you doing for International Pipe Smoking Day?
I'm probably going to go up to north side of Fort Wayne. I guess that's the north side of Fort Wayne. Up off of St. Joe.
Where?
To the Copper Canyon. The Fort Wayne Pipe.
Oh my gosh. You said you'd never go to a place that also sold hookahs.
Well, unfortunately, that's where the it sounds like, I think that's where the Fort Wayne Cigar and Pipe Club do their stuff pretty regular. I figured I'd at least go check it out and see what it's about.
Why don't you go to the one next to Walmart? They all used to be Craven vapes.
That's the problem.
Oh man!
And I don't need any glass pipes.
That's so funny.
I have a bad enough time buying briar pipes. I need to slow down on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, we'll do another count here.
Why would we do that?
Because it's the fans.
I got to save some money so I can afford to buy some goodies when I go to the Muletown Pipe Show.
When's that?
Next month.
Boy.
So me, Ace, and Brandon are gonna.
You said something about maybe doing a little special episode?
Yeah, I think we might try to do an episode in the car on the way down.
Hold on. The cops are pulling us over.
So probably do something like on the way down, or at least chat in the car, and then maybe something Saturday night after we've been to the show. And
where's Muletown at?
That is Columbia, Tennessee, south of Nashville.
Huh.
Not far from where I used to go and hang out when I was going down there for service school.
Yeah.
Thank God I'm older and wiser now. Those were some rough times back then.
Were they?
Yeah. Probably some times I'm not overly proud of.
Oh man. Well, hey, we all got some of those.
There's lots of beer involved.
Yeah. Usually when you start a sentence off with "there's lots of beer involved," and the backstory is I wasn't too proud of it. Strip clubs get brought up.
Yeah, let's not go there. Anyway. You got anything else?
I'm out.
You're out. Well, like I said, I will be at the Copper Canyon up off St. Joe in Fort Wayne this Thursday, February 20th. If anyone is interested in going, the Fort Wayne Cigar and Pipe Club will be meeting there. And I think they're going to be showing the documentary Battle of the Briar that was shot, I don't know, last year, no, year before at the Chicago Pipe Show. So it'll be interesting. I've seen it once, but it'll be nice to watch it again. But if anybody's in the area, stop in, say howdy. I know the folks at the Cigar Club will be happy to have some fresh faces.
How are these guys going to recognize you?
Because they've seen our Instagram page.
Oh.
They know what I look like.
All right. No, that's great. That's great. Get out there. Meet our fan.
Yeah. All 7 of them.
Yes.
Anyways, we're going to wrap it up there. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us, listening to us babble back and forth about whatever we were babbling about. And hope y'all have a good week, and we will talk to you again soon.